Hi, everyone. Hi. Wow, it's 3 o'clock, so we figured we'd try to jazz things up in here. I told Jen the first 5 minutes will be us karaokeing, but
Oh,
yeah.
I do a mean set fire on the rain from Adele in my car this morning on the way here.
I will not be singing, but anyways, thanks guys for sticking around for us. I'm Jillian Rendace. I work at adMarketplace, and this is my little partner in crime over here, Jennifer. Here really just to talk about personalization, consumer engagement, and what better brand than Pandora to kind of talk about personalization. So we'd love to ask, well, first we would love to hear a little bit more about the brand and kind of what you're doing over there these days.
Sure. So I've been at Pandora for about 4.5 years now. And when I started, there was no data. There was no consumer data. There was no first-party data. We had no idea who the customer was, right? When you think about Pandora, it grew very organically. When charms hit the market 10 years ago, I'm looking at my partner in crime, the brand director, the other half of my brain. Charms just sold, right? And there wasn't a real need to attach it to a brand or have a marketing plan. They were just selling charms. And so when I kind of joined Pandora, we were on a journey to reinvent, to really understand who Pandora was, who the customer is, and really figure out a different way to position ourselves in the market. So
Yeah.
I do want to articulate really quickly, my role at Pandora, I'm not the brand manager. I'm not the brand director. I'm the media person. So I owned and paid media. So what that means is anything from television down to search marketing to owned social media and community engagement, analytics across all of these channels, as well as CRM. So really, I'm responsible for executing everything that's a one-to-one with the consumer. I really need smart people like you guys, like the brand people, to help keep me grounded and not let me get too scrappy. So I really enjoy these sessions because it really works the other side of the brain that I typically don't tap into.
Well, I'm actually wearing a Pandora bracelet myself today.
Aw.
It's actually,
What's the story behind that bracelet?
well, the story is it used to be my mom's, and it's actually quite big, which is, I don't know.
Yeah, she
I don't
bought the
know
wrong
why.
size.
I think she got the wrong size. But, we loved this as a gift for her because we can each add like a charm as, life went on, Mother's Day and other holidays. So I just love that you can, I think consumer has a story, right, for what this bracelet means to them, or not even bracelet, looks like you guys have so much more these days. But how do you reach out to new consumers or engage with your current consumers and hear their stories?
So our tagline right now is, in fact, for every story. And you told me the story behind that bracelet. You're being shy about your story, and if you decide you want to tell it, then that's your business. But Jillian has actually a really powerful story behind that bracelet. And I have the pleasure of being part of our social media and being able to listen to the stories that our customers do tell. And it could be anything from, just recently, we unearthed a story around a group of women who all had breast cancer and had fought breast cancer. And they had built a bracelet. And the bracelet traveled all across the country with them as they were going through their journeys of conquering and some not conquering breast cancer. I don't like to think that all of the stories are sad stories, but it's true. I think truly Pandora does represent a lot of people's stories, and the brand is very personal, which is why personalization is so critical to our business right now.
That makes sense. And in terms of personalization, I know you mentioned you're on this personalization journey when you started the company. Can you kind of dive in deeper of what you are creating, building, and how you plan to use all this machine?
Absolutely. And like I said, there wasn't really data at the fingertips of the CMO at the time. Very smart CMO was super challenged in order to understand really who the customer was and who the core customer was. And people joked around and were like, "Oh, it's a soccer mom." And then, we started to stitch together all the online data. I did this with Lynn Mount in a very, very scrappy way. Literally Power BI on top of our data warehouse, like just stitched it together because we needed to get to the insights very quickly. And we pulled together all the online data, we pulled together all of the offline data and started to pull together really like who this customer was for their, our customers do, Pandora, luckily, right, when you come onto our site, you can build wish lists. So our customers do a good job of, giving us a little bit of information, anniversary dates, birthdays, all that good stuff. So you can start to stitch together, ages, you can stitch together demographics. Are they gifting? Are they self-gifting? And then really start to build that picture of who the consumer was. And she was actually quite younger than we thought she was going to be. So the brand was definitely attracting a younger, newer consumer. So from there, it was just then understanding what it was that was drawing her or him to the brand. A few things that we learned, and I have this terrible memory of being with our global CEO. Our headquarters is Copenhagen. So I'm in the market, which is such an interesting vantage point because there's a lot of folks here, I think, that are in a global role. And I was with the global CEO. I think Maureen was in the room with me and our CMO. And I was like, well, your new consumers are coming into the brand. They're buying our rings. And he like slammed his hand down on this desk virtually. And he was like, do not talk to me about rings. Our core customer buys charms and they buy bracelets. And I was like, okay, all right. This was my first introduction to this man. He had just started in the business and he was going to drive that core. Lo and behold, now I can have a very healthy conversation with Alexander Lasik about rings because he's now started to understand as we've built these consumer profiles and we've built these insights and we've built these teams both locally and globally, he now understands the value of driving a new consumer through rings. And maybe she learns about that core a little bit down the line, but we should keep talking to her about rings. So the journey kind of started there with very raw first-party data and is just slowly unearthed. Where we are now, awareness is very high for Pandora. You all know what Pandora is. You may or may not consider us. You probably don't. Our consideration levels, our purchase intent is low. And, for me, sitting in a market, I don't own the brand story. So what lever do I have to pull in order to drive consideration for the brand and to grow our business in North America? The key, the primary market, one of the primary markets, I think we're like 46% of the business right now. It's all eyes on us, especially right now in Q4. I have to do personalization. The only thing I can do is get nitty gritty and understand what's driving that new consumer to the business and help show her more products like that and continue to do the same from a prospecting side and continue to drive the frequency of purchase given the purchase behavior that they've already shown us.
Do you think that consumers are willing to share data with you? I know we all hear now that people are a little bit more sensitive these days of like, I'm not telling you anything or I'm hiding my email. Do you think that they're willing to share the data if it gets them closer to getting the experience that they need and want?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm giving myself probably a C plus there. I think there's a lot of digital and technology work that we have to partner with our global teams to really tighten that up a little bit. But we do try to capture data through a wish list, and she can build a wish list. Then we start to really understand, right, what kind of products that she's looking for. Share those with partners, aunts, uncles, grandparents, husbands, and good stuff like that. But I think we have a lot of work to do there. I think that's the biggest challenge is getting consumers to take that next step to tell us a little bit more about themselves. We are in the process of building a loyalty program. You would think we have the most robust loyalty program on the planet. We do not. It's one of those projects that, we've talked about it a lot today, and it's like giving me heart palpitations around things that when your business turns into commercial mode and it's time to sell, what falls off the to-do list, and big projects that have big price tags come off the to-do list. So loyalty is something that continues to get pushed, which forces me in the market, if I'm looking for growth, to drive the personalization and to sort of get scrappy and do it myself.
Does the journey, I guess, start with the consumer, they buy a bracelet and then maybe they'll consider, now you guys have diamonds, like, or is it a totally different segment of consumers?
There's very different buying behaviors based on the category in which they enter Pandora. Now, I will say we are a heavy gifting brand, so a lot of people are gifted Pandora. So then it becomes, how do you continue to talk to that giftee, and how do you continue to talk to the gifter? And, so there's journeys that we've built around the male gifter. That's a big test that we're building right now in Q4, driving holiday, and which will hopefully continue to, those learnings will impact Valentine's Day. But really, for us, again, it's how do we get her to desire Pandora and ask for Pandora? Because a lot of times, and what we see through our research and what we see through the data is, I give you this bracelet, or I give you this charm bracelet, or I give you this necklace and a charm, and you're like, oh, cute, thanks. And you might wear it for like 6 months, and then you put it in your jewelry box. So how do we get her to fall in love with Pandora and say, hey, I want that. I want to go get that. Or give it to herself. And a category you just mentioned, diamonds, a category that we did just enter the market in September was our lab-grown diamonds. I'm wearing them here, which was sort of our first purpose-driven project that we've had in a long time, and really celebrating yourself and encouraging the females to buy it for yourself. Don't wait for someone else to buy you the diamonds. Buy it yourself. And the diamonds are of excellent quality, and we go through the craftsmanship and the sustainability and all the things of like why you buy. I think it's actually been one of the biggest success stories we've had in the last 4.5 years. I think I saw the consideration, metric tick up in Q3. I saw the unaided awareness tick up in Q3. And so it's fighting to keep those diamonds alive through these commercial moments and when the going gets tough.
And do you feel that, are these consumers coming through digitally, or is it in store, or is it depending on?
Oh, it's interesting. So we first launched the diamonds in the UK. So the UK was the test market for the diamonds, and then the US was a fast follow. And the UK did find that folks were buying the diamonds online. We are finding it much more of a heavy in-store purchase, but we are very committed to building a digital journey that allows them to explore the diamonds online before they go into store, because we know that a purchase at a price point like this, I think, these rings are in the, almost $2,000 range. You may not want to buy that online. You're going to check us out, especially if you haven't experienced the brand. What we did notice, though, is that a new consumer is coming to Pandora through the diamonds. So they weren't considering us before. Now we're offering a product that that's enticing to them. So it's only been about 2.5 months, and I'm very, very eager to see how holiday does, since we've driven so much awareness over the last 2 months or so.
And I know you're responsible for media. What media are you using to reach the diamond consumer, or a new diamond consumer?
No,
I don't think I can buy $2,000 like digitally.
You'd be surprised. Well, it's so interesting when we look at our brand tracker too. It's the luxury brands are really doing really well right now. So even though we're heading into a recession, Tiffany's just spiked above us in our share of search just this week. I think everyone probably saw like Kim K, Hailey Bieber. They've got all the celebs out, so they're screaming pretty loud right now. We typically are the top of the share of search across the jewelry category. But Tiffany's, Cartier, all gaining share very quickly. So we went full funnel on diamonds. So there is television, digital video, linear television, a big social media push where we had Ashley Graham and Rosario Dawson literally on the streets of New York driving social media campaigns and getting women to celebrate themselves, and they were gifting women diamonds, and we were looking for that virality there. We do a lot of direct partnerships with different publishers, the Condé Nast, the Hearst and such, and we move that straight down the funnel through upper funnel social media, lower funnel social, lots of non-brand search to conquest those folks that are searching for diamonds that probably didn't know that Pandora had it. So now we're battling the Brilliant Earths and the Vrays and the light boxes and such. It's a very, very competitive space, but it was a full funnel in-store was completely converted. The windows were completely converted. So a very full funnel activation.
And it's a totally different consumer than the charms or the classic.
Yes, it is a millennial consumer. And our core consumer is a millennial female, but we are finding that it is a self-gifter, that she is buying them for herself. So she's adhering to our campaign, which is really refreshing. But it's a similar millennial consumer. It's just that consumer maybe that wasn't considering Pandora before. And our hypothesis really has been that, she had put that Pandora bracelet in her jewelry box, right? Because she may have received it for high school, bracelet for high school, collected it through college. She put that jewelry box away, and then off we came, and we had some cool factor with the celebs, and she reconsidered us.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think what's great about the bracelet, and again, this was my mom, she had passed away a year ago, so I it took it as mine, and I will add to it. I will gift myself maybe in Q4.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Send me a coupon.
Sign up on the website.
But I also loved, there was a story I was reading, I think it was in NPR, about how, during Mother's Day and Father's Day, it really sucks to get these emails like, what are you buying, Mom? What are you buying, Dad? So what did you guys do to kind of think about the consumer who might not want to hear those messages?
I appreciate you bringing that up, because I forget sometimes, you get stuck in the weeds and in the mud sometimes, and you forget all the good work that happens. And that is something that we're proud of. We allowed the consumers to opt out if they didn't want to hear about Mother's Day, and we do the same for Valentine's Day. If there's, and that's just us saying we hear you and we understand, and continues just to drive that personal agenda and drive that one-to-one with the consumer. 75% of our purchases still happen in a store. Our website has definitely gained a lot of the share of business. COVID, it really started to switch. Before COVID, we were maybe 12, 15% online. We're now at 25, almost 30% online. So our digital experience, we're fastly trying to catch up there, because that's been an area that we've kind of put on the back burner because of so many purchases happening in store. So one of the biggest challenges that we really have from a personalization standpoint is, how do you take what you do from a digital journey standpoint and then translate that to a store associate who could be 19 years old in college, right? What does the training look like? What does the VM look like? So it is that, I would say that's one of the biggest challenges that we have, and the one thing that our GM will challenge us with is, that's great, you created this amazing journey online, they went online, they took a peek at it, they didn't convert. What happens when they go into the store? Does that journey continue, or do they start all over? We have a lot of product. We have a lot of product. So when you walk into that store, if that store associate doesn't guide that experience or ask the same questions that we're, kind of guiding online, then it becomes very overwhelming very quickly for a consumer.
So you said 30% is digital, and then so 70% is in-store purchases?
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of stores, I live in New York City, so I walked by the Times Square one the other day, and there's that big Marvel Spider-Man, yeah, which is kind of a cool brand to have, Pandora, because I feel like there's such a loyal consumer there with
Totally.
It's like the Star Wars or Spider-Man, and there was in Disney. So tell us a little bit about those consumers.
Those collaborations play a huge role in our business. We are a corporate alliance partner for Disney, so that includes the Marvel and the Star Wars. But the way we kind of view that, right, is you get to borrow a little brand equity from a brand like that. And that we do find that does garner a new consumer too, right? If someone's super interested, we launched Marvel this year, and there was this ring. What is the ring, Maureen? The Infinity Ring. Gosh, I'm not a Marvel person. I'm so sorry. But this Infinity Ring, and we had a hypothesis. We were like, it's gold and it has color on it. People are going to go fucking crazy for this ring. And sure enough, within like 3 or 4 days, the thing was sold out online. It was like sold out in the stores very, very quickly. And we realized that was a new consumer. So it started to unearth all these insights too, where it was like, our consumer is dying for gold. Our consumer is dying for color. But the power of Marvel allowed us to unearth that, and then allowed us to introduce ourselves to a new consumer, and then allows us to continue to drive that collectability, right? Because then we can start, now I'm talking to her about Spider-Man that just launched. And, ideally, we did learn, as soon as we launched Marvel, they were like, where's Spider-Man? And we couldn't talk about the fact that it was coming. We knew it was coming. So we were very eager to get Spider-Man launched later in the year. And that's a very purposefully done execution, right? There's a lot of newness in Pandora that drops every other month or so, which is good and bad, right? Because you kind of lose where you're trying to drive your core consumer, right? Like we're trying to drive charms and trying to drive bracelets, and then every month or so it's like, okay, now you have to talk about this, and now you have to talk about that, and now you're going to talk about signature, and now you're going to talk about Pandora Me. That's the necklace I'm wearing now, right? So it's like there's constant drops. So it's like that balance between new product and core product, and not abandoning that core product. And that's where personalization also comes into play, because I can quickly learn, my team can quickly learn what different products are doing to drive the buying behaviors, and which kind of customers that it's bringing in. And then I can start to build journeys. And CRM plays a big role in that, right? Social media plays a big role in that, in how we continue to drive the newness, but also stick to the core.
I feel like there's a lot of parts to personalization, and I know the market, there's, maybe not so much talent out there in this specialty, or is there, or like, what are the gaps that you're feeling in the market when you're looking to hire, which she is, by the way, if anyone.
I am hiring.
If anyone
I am
knows.
hiring. Not Nestle people, apparently. So what I'm finding, and I would love to hear if anyone else is feeling this, is that there's a lot of channel specialists out there. So I have a super strong person who oversees search. I also have an agency partner, but there's someone that really is dedicated to search. There's someone dedicated to social media, paid social, someone dedicated to owned social. It's finding that like audience person, if you will, that looks across all of those channels, that's stitching it all together. Because my social media person is a rock star. My search person's a rock star. The folks that are buying the video and that are buying the display and all of that, complete rock stars. It's stitching them together and how and understanding, it's building that audience matrix and stepping it out and saying like, okay, here's the audience, here's the tactic, and here's how we execute. And I think that's, for me, has been a challenge, is it's really, I think it's easy to find really good channel experts, and it's finding that glue. And I'm kind of finding that I'm playing that role a little bit, as kind of like stitching this together and being the glue. But then I'm also finding that I still need someone who truly understands how to build audiences in our CDP and activate all those audiences and report out on those audiences that continue to drive the business forward and stitch it. And it's not just, okay, we put this one email out there and then we're going to put another email and then, okay, let's see what it does. It has to live continuously through the journey.
Not easy.
It's not easy.
Well, we have 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Does anyone have questions or would like to give advice on how to find such talent?
Questions?
You talked a lot about consideration and really starting to move the needle on consideration. I was curious as to what tactics or channels you're finding to be most successful for you, and what type of measurement are you using as well?
Oh, I love that question. Thank you for asking. So we use a tool. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, called LiftLab. And LiftLab is an MTA tool. And what that allows you to do is build different experiments that what you can help you learn incrementality. And what LiftLab measures is all of my digital channels, and I can go in, it's on a weekly basis, it's not on a daily basis. That's, if anyone from LiftLab's in the room, I don't think they are, they're West Coast, they're not here. But that's a limitation for the tool, in my opinion. It's not a daily, I wish it was, it's weekly. But what it will tell me is the incremental lift that channel has provided on the revenue for that week. So The channels that are kind of bubbling up for us is upper funnel, paid social, and programmatic. So those are tactics that if you look in your Adobe or whatever you're using for your last click, deliver a 0.01% conversion rate, and then your boss is like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you spending money there? LiftLab allows me to showcase an incremental lift that those channels are providing to the business. And I think the reason why those channels are so conducive to driving the consideration is because it allows you to talk a little bit more about why you buy. So for instance, with the diamonds, I'm able to talk about the sustainability. I'm able to talk about how they're made. I'm able to just sort of tell a little bit more of a story through video or programmatic ad. Whereas, in the conversion tactic, it's just like go, click, click, click. So that's really helped. And LiftLab played a really good role in that because that allowed me to have a really good conversation with my management to say, please let's not pump the brakes on these channels. They're driving value. And lo and behold, it's come to fruition on our brand tracker. Sure.
That's great. Other questions? Going once, going twice. All right. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate it.
Thank you.